Hello super parents, we have with us Mr. Praveen Parmeshwar to enlighten us on the topic learning techniques. Today we see that there are different patterns of learning and techniques that are adopted by a few parents or teachers and students as well. So I wanted to discuss with you and understand what exactly is learning. I mean, as per Lifology's deep guidance, you know better about learning, right? So, sir, can you tell me more about learning? What exactly is learning?
Yeah, Prerna, this is a very important question because nowadays, when children are spending time on textbook or watching something, related to education or spending in front of laptop, we think the learning happens. But that's a wrong notion or understanding of learning, because learning is not only about spending time on education. So Lifology sees learning as a three-tier process. Level 1, it's about exposure to information. This is what we get normally. We read or write or listen to things or watch videos. So we are getting exposed to information, and this is level 1 into learning. There is a second level, which is internalization of the concept. That means children should understand and internalize the concept which they are getting exposed to, which is important. And the third one is be clear about the concept. Conceptual clarity should be there. Let me give you an example. Say a company like Hanson Robotics in Hong Kong made the first or the most impressive humanoid, Sophia. This is a piece of information. When we read a newspaper or watch a news piece or go through the textbook, we are getting exposed to this piece of information. But not enough. Then we have to go to the second level of learning, internalization. How does that happen? So you should ask the child certain questions or give them the scenario to think more about it. Example, so will this be affecting jobs in future? Will more humanoids will be doing works at our home? So what happens if Sophia wants to kill somebody? So ask questions, and then the child will be thinking about the same and try to internalize the concept. And as the third stage, through this process, they reach a clarity that towards which point the entire robotic system is getting evolved. So only if the child is going through these three stages, the real learning happens. Otherwise, it is merely spending time on learning without proper learning. So Lifology sees learning as a three-tier process like this. Yes.
Okay, great. So I wanted to know, can we correlate learning with the exams, the marks that are scored by the students in examinations?
3 points. Number 1, so a person who spends time on learning, internalize the concept and get conceptual clarity. So not necessary that that person score well in exams if the learning is happening on a topic which is outside the syllabus. Second, even if learning happens on topics within the syllabus, not necessary that the person scores well in exams because writing exams itself is an art. So you have to master the art of writing exams and scoring well in exams, which is absolutely a very different topic or skill at all. So that's why you can see that many people who have good conceptual clarity are not performing very well in exams. So if you see it through this perspective, learning and scoring well in exams is not very much directly proportional.
Okay.
But don't take it in a way that learning should not reflect in scoring marks, because Lifology believes it is so important to score marks in exams. It's not because it will reflect in your future, because scoring an A+ or A grade in your 10+2 exam may not be having any impact in the way which you are going to craft your future, but it will be, it has impact in the way which your character is developed. Because when you are in school, when you are in a class, say 12th standard, or you are in 10th standard, so you are in fact into a project. You are into a project with a proper deliverable with deadlines. That means You have 1 year ahead. In 1 year, you will be having an exam, and in the exam, you have to deliver this much and you have to score this much. It is an attitude embedded in a person to perform well in any project he is assigned to. So only if we train the child to execute this project with all perfection, they would be doing the same even after their education and start working in a company. Because when we are part of a project, doing it with all perfection is in fact, it's a character, it's a part of character. So to build that character up, so Lifology strongly say that it is very important to score well in exams. In that sense. Yeah, Prerna.
All right. So moving on to the next question, I wanted to know if you have any tips and tricks to the parents, super parents, on how to like improve the learning pattern or learning cycle of the student.
Of course. So like in all videos, Lifology repeatedly say that there are tips and techniques, but no easy ways or shortcuts. Very, very important to understand. Okay. So I can share with you parents 5 methodologies which you should train or orient your child on. Number one is enhance focus. Because the best learning happens when the child does learn with all focus in place. How to train them on focus? It's so important to ensure that child is oriented about the importance of being focused when they are doing something. So you have to orient them about the concept of focus. They have to get into the mindset of focus. Second, keep all the distractors away. It may be like the mobile phone or the a Kindle or like even a textbook. So whichever things are not necessary there for learning at that point of time, keep those things away, including other textbooks. So because we are keeping the distractors away. And another point is about meditation. It may be a religious meditation or meditation away from religion, that is fine. But it is very important to ensure that your child is closing eyes and without seeing anything outside, thinking about something and sitting idle for say 5 to 10 minutes a day, which is a very important point. So through meditation, avoiding distractors and creating a mindset, you can help your child to be focused, which is super important. And now the second point. First of all, it is very important to make sure your child understand the basic concepts of each of the topics, each of the subjects. So that is where you have to give more importance. Because nowadays parents have a tendency to prepare children only for competitive exams, where they mugged up the answer for some questions and try to give it and score well in competitive exams. But if you just continue that pattern, you have to be there as a support system for your child every time. So instead what you have to do is, before your child reaches 8th grade, if your child already reached 8th grade, you can do it even now, because better late than never. So concepts on language, the fundamentals of mathematics, the fundamental concepts of physics, chemistry, biology, computer science. So very important to let the child understand about the concepts, which is so important. That's my second point. Third technique which you can train your child on is, this is somewhat against what parents do. Parents always force children to spend continuous hours on learning. If a child is spending 3 hours continuously on learning, the parent will be the happiest person in the world, right? So if a child is spending continuous on 5 hours on learning without looking, without keeping eyes or taking eyes away from the notebook, the parent becomes so happy. But that's a very unscientific methodology of learning. So let me share with you a technique called Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro technique means if your child wants to learn for 2 hours, break it down into 4 segments. 25 minutes of learning, 5 minutes break. 5 minutes break doesn't mean that he or she would be, can open another tab and go through another website. Again 25 minutes, 5 minutes break, 25 minutes, 5 minutes break, then 25 minutes. So break down the 2 hours into 4 segments and learn, and this would help them to focus more, concentrate more, and internalize information and get more conceptual clarity. This is the third technique. The fourth one is association. Anything they learn, train them to associate with something which they know already. Say for an example, they learn about the solar trip by the solar trip by Jeff Bezos. Okay, so when they learn about the solar trip by Jeff Bezos, so ask them to connect with their current understanding about space, or current understanding about other planets, or current understanding about the Mangalyaan. So then what happens is, like, one piece of information get connected with another piece of information, which would cement both the pieces of information inside the brain. And the fifth and the last technique I want to share with you is active learning, which is very important. Because normally what we do is we just go through a textbook and do very passive learning. Active learning means inside the classes or when you are in group study, so ask questions, narrate something to another person, listen to other people and get into arguments with that person, discussions with others. So learning should be kind of an involved activity, which is very important. So number 1, increase focus. Number 2, make the fundamentals strong. Number 3, Pomodoro technique. Number 4, the association method. And number 5, active learning. I believe if parents can train children on all these 5, you can see that your children show tremendous development in learning. Yes.
Okay. The next question is also similar to the one which you addressed right now. I wanted to know, how can a parent cultivate deep learning in a child?
Good question. So that means how all these 5 can be made as a habit of the child,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
That's how the question can be transitioned to. I think 3 things. Number 1, if you want to see your child learn very well, ensure that you spend time with the child. Because the research, multiple researchers shows, parents spending considerable amount of time with children when they are learning, the learning of children is increased by more than 60%. 60% is not a less number, okay? You need not sit with the child every time. You have your own business as well, I can understand. But at least if the child is learning for 3 hours a day, spend with him half an hour. This will surely help him to make all the systems as a habit for sure. Number 1. Number 2, continuous re-emphasis is there until these things become his or her habit. Say we talked about Pomodoro technique. Parent, now you listen to this video and go to the child and talk about Pomodoro technique and ask him to go and apply it in life, may not help. So you have to ensure that you handhold the child to, even if the child is 17 years or 18 years, they need your support. So you handhold your child until this become their habit, maybe continuously for a month. That means continuous support should be there. And number 3, and I would say very important point, we have to create a mindset in children that learning is their personal responsibility. You know what we do normally? We put the responsibility of learning on schools. If the child is underperforming, we say that it's because of the school is bad. Maybe the school may be faulty, they may be having their own issues, but we have to create the mindset in children that the responsibility of a child's learning is not with school or with parents or with any other external institution, but it is the learning is a personal responsibility. So if you want to create the habit of deep learning in children, number 1, give them the mindset that learning is a personal responsibility. Number 2, spend time with children. Number 3, re-emphasize continuously and reinforce continuously until any learning techniques become a habit. Because you are not giving them a tip or technique, you are creating a habit. Because many times, even though we use the word tips or techniques, I have a big problem to people say about tips or techniques, because with tips or technique, we in fact, it's a synonym of shortcut, right? And there are no shortcuts for this. The only way is to create a habit. and it takes time and it needs effort. Yes.
Yeah, like you said, implementation takes a lot of
Yeah,
effort.
yeah.
So there would be a lot of challenges that
Yeah.
the parent would
Yeah.
come across.
Yeah.
So what would be the challenges like, and how they can
Yeah.
tackle it? Like,
Correct.
I mean, cultivating a habit
Correct.
itself is like requires a lot of effort.
Correct.
Like, yeah.
So that's a good question. So you have been listening to this video for last around 10 minutes, I believe. See, just keep this in mind. You have two options. You can leave your children scot-free and put all the burden on them. You can take your hands off and say that if you learn, you learn. But if you want really to, you want to see that your children are really learning, you have to understand about these challenges of toughness, as Prerna was asking, and you have to try to overcome the same. Number one, the biggest challenge you are going to face is your mindset. Because when we try to give some learning methods to children, sit with them and try to reinforce on them and to talk to them about learning, the parents may be thinking that we are doing something in a very artificial way. Is this the way parents should behave with children? So this mindset we should counter, and we should understand that. So we need to act as a coach so that we have to do all this kind of things. Got it. See, there is let's take the case of Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli. Okay. What about we think they are super talented people and development is their responsibility, then let them play, let them develop themselves, develop by themselves, and let them be their own masters. Then why do they need a coach? They need a coach because coach has to do a lot of things. You may not be able to engage a separate coach for your child, but you should act as your coach. Their coach. So it is very important to make your mind proper to spend considerable amount of time with children. You may be thinking it's an artificial intervention, but it is needed. That is the number one thing. Second challenge is about the time it takes. Through advice, through yelling at them, you cannot solve this problem. It takes time because you are cultivating a habit. You should be ready to spend considerable amount of time for this, which is very important. Number three, there will surely be resistance from children. And handle resistance. I know children, you are also watching this video, so you can understand what would be the intensity of resistance which you are going to show to your parents. So resistance will surely be there, and you should not try to tackle resistance with force, but you should absorb resistance and continuously be there as a patient being to handle all this. So these are going to be some of the challenges, but if you want to see your children learning perfectly well, you should be able to go through these challenges and overcome the same. Yes.
Absolutely. I could really take a lot from this session which we had right now, and thank you so much, sir, for enlightening the parents with so much about learning techniques and how they can cultivate the deep learning in children. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.